Hey guys, Scripture here with another video, and I gotta discuss this Han Solo stuff. And the more I looked into it, I mean, I've said all along, I'm not an EU expert. I know some things. This was not something that I was aware of. So basically, Han Solo's last name and the way that it was handled by Disney is really, really piss poor.
What's your name, son?
Han.
What? Who are your people?
I don't have people. I'm alone.
Solo. Approved. Proceed to transport ID 83 for the Naval Academy at Kurita.
And again, when you line it up against the EU, Disney loses again. It's just why do this? And they did it all for a gag. So in Star Wars, almost all the characters have last names. I think there's a handful that don't, like in the movies and stuff. Vast majority of characters have last names. You can go through it. There's hardly any that don't. So the officer says, you know, what tribe are you from or whatever? Well, who are your people? And he goes, oh, I'm alone. And he could have called him Loner.
Han. Loner.
And what makes this so silly is he uses that last name throughout his life after that. Like, in that scene, what is he trying to do? He's trying to get out of there, right? He's trying to get off world and get out of there. He's trying to get through, essentially, customs. So once he gets through, why would he continue using a name that wasn't his name, that some Imperial officer gave him? Why would he care to do that? He became a smuggler. Why would he care to use that name? It doesn't fit with his character. He would have been like, screw you, I'll make up my own name or whatever, right? He wouldn't just be like, yeah, I guess that's my name forever now. Yeah, hi Leia, my name is Han Solo. It's just doesn't jive. It's dumb. And they did it all for a gag. A cheap, crappy gag that isn't even funny. So, beyond that, Disney's now, of course, had to rewrite the history. So, basically, in Legends, and yes, I looked this up, I didn't know this. I knew his mom's name was Jaina, but I didn't know a whole heck of a lot else. So, in the EU, the Solo family has a full lineage, right? He's got, his dad is Jonash, his mom is Jaina. His grandpa, Dalla Solo. Man, the ads on Wikipedia are just horrible. Look at the ads, man, and the constant video that they replay 50 times. Okay, so that's his grandpa. Then he has a great-grandpa. Okay, we got a great-grandpa. Let's see some more ads. Yeah, more ads. Brutal, Wikipedia. Okay, so that's as far back as it goes. So he has a great-grandpa, and his great-grandpa claimed to be the great-great-great-great-great-grandson of Corellia's king, Barathron Solo, and thus the legitimate heir to the Corellian throne. But he was executed by public hanging, although not before he had fathered at least one son, the notorious pirate Dalla the Black, sometimes cited as Han Solo's grandfather. So, if you think about this, right, so his great-grandfather believed he was heir to the throne of Corellia. So that gives, if that's true, that gives him royal lineage. And then at the same time, his grandpa was a pirate. Which is kind of cool, right? Because he ends up being a smuggler. Sort of a pirate in a way, right? So there's actually like a full-blown lineage and family tree, and it's neat, and there's things you can look into, and his name is Solo. That's his last name. Then, because Disney has to fiddle around with everything and take away anything cool, they decided because they have to have the gag in there, right? You have to have the gag of, oh, he's Han Solo. Have to have the gag. So because of the gag, They break one of their own, well, Star Wars' rules. This guy has his dad according to Disney. Okay, this is the Disney canon version of his dad. Doesn't have a last name. All because they put a gag in a stupid movie. A crappy gag at that. So, oh no, what do we do? Well, his dad can't have a last name because he didn't have one, so we'll just call him Oven. So he's like the only human in the entire galaxy that has no last name. And again, you compare that to the EU. Now check this out. So we talked about the royal lineage, potentially. We talked about the pirates. We talked about the extent of the family tree. This is it. This is all there is in Disney canon. There's nothing else. No mum, nothing. Just Oven. And listen to who this guy is. My dad worked the line at the CEC plant before he got laid off. He wanted to be a pilot. You close to your old man? Not really. Talking to Lando. And that's in the movie. Why would they do this? Why would you do this? So he goes from this really cool family tree with royal lineage, with pirates, with all this stuff to some guy that got laid off working at a plant. Why is it always the mediocrity of the mundacity of life that these writers attach themselves to? Why do they do that? Why do they do that? Like, why is art now becoming so mundane and just blah? His family tree in the EU is awesome. Oven was a human male who was the father of famed smuggler turned rebel Han Solo and the grandfather of Ben Solo. He lived on Corellia during Solo's early years, where he worked in the Corellian Engineering Corporation shipyards, building vessels such as YT-1300 light freighters. He wanted to leave Corellia on such a ship, but was never able to afford to. At some point, Oven brought his son to the freighter factory where he worked. His father pointed out that the ships being built there were his contributions to the galaxy, but that they ultimately did not matter. Yay, what an awesome backstory for Han Solo's family. That's so cool, man. Way better than the EU. His father then advised him that Han was not meant to build ships, but rather fly them. According to Han, who recounted his father's story to Lando, he was never close with his father. Sometime afterwards, when Han was young, his father abandoned him and eventually died. Oh, that's nice. Yay! God, it's always just the crappiest ideas that these people put forth. In 10 BBY, Han Solo took up the life of a scoundrel on one mission. Solo returned to Corellia on a mission to retrieve an urn containing the ashes of Crestral Dinaran for Jabba. Upon arriving at a local bar, Solo encountered the criminal Corvus Tyra, who posed as Oven in order to collect the urn. Solo originally held doubts about the authenticity of the man's claim, though was convinced after he recounted the time Oven had spoken to Han about the ships he built during his career. Just... But wouldn't he look different? Like, how old was he when he abandoned him? He was old enough to be brought to the freighter factory. So he would have been a little kid at least, right? He wasn't an infant baby. And he was old enough to understand being told, oh, you're not going to build ships, you're going to fly them. And he thinks some other guy is his dad? All because of a stupid gag in a crappy movie. All of these hoops. It's just like the sequels, right? They have to jump through hoops and 50 million comics and all this crap to explain stupid plot points that they put in there. Don't they think about this stuff? And I'm not even saying, fine, you don't want to do the EU exactly the same, but at least, like, look at it. It's a far superior... I mean, they should do it exactly the same, but of course they're never going to do that. They're just going to cherry pick because there's no source material, right, Kathy? But what a crappy thing. Like, did these people not, like, read his backstory in the expanded universe and say, hey, man, like, we're up against something pretty cool here. We better make something good. No, we're going to make the most mundane, crappy family lineage, and that's it. It's just some guy. Some ship guy. Some guy putting a screw on an assembly line. And this is John Kasdan. And John Kasdan, you know, gave us super winners like the show Willow that was so bad they took it off Disney Plus because no one was watching it because it's that bad. Like, I don't get it. And the pathetic thing is his dad was heavily involved with The Empire Strikes Back, which is like The best Star Wars movie ever, Lawrence Kasdan. He was first mentioned, Owen was first mentioned in the 2015 book Ultimate Star Wars. First identified in the first issue of the comic miniseries Star Wars Han Solo and Chewie, written by Mark Guggenheim and published in 2022. Disney Star Wars just sucks. And what's even cooler too is like, he names his daughter Jaina after his mother. Like, it's kind of in the EU, a lot of the names that Luke gave his kids or Han and Leia gave their kids, all of them had like family or very close friend connections. Like for Luke, example, his son Ben, right? So and then there's Jason and Jaina, and there's attachment to that. There's a story behind that. It's kind of like people do now, right? A lot of people, like, the middle names of my kids are all, either one of my parents or grandparents or whatever. The first name of my youngest son is my grandfather who passed away early. He had cancer. You do that when you care about your family. When you don't care about your family, you don't do that. And then when you really don't care about a character in their family, you give them a loser deadbeat dad who had no last name so you can put a gag in a movie. Brutal. And of course there's inconsistencies regarding the fate of Owen because it's Disney and they can't write. Ultimate Star Wars and its 2019 updated edition both state that Han was orphaned at a young age, indirectly indicating that his father died. Solo later stated that Owen had abandoned Han. John Kasdan stated on Twitter that he believes that Han ran away from his father and that Han's father is still alive somewhere, drinking himself to death. Oh, that's nice. Yay, John! Thanks, buddy. Also, you can have a stupid gag in the Solo movie. Unreal. And I'm pretty sure he wrote the Solo movie. Yeah, like him and his dad, Lawrence, who was involved with Empire, wrote the Solo movie. So this is a perfect illustration for you guys to see. Like, this is the face. John Kasdan is the face of stupidity in writing. And his dad actually was involved in some other projects too. I think he was one of the writers on Wyatt Earp. Like, he's done some big stuff. He's done some crappy stuff too, don't get me wrong, even in the past. But this is the face of the stupidity of the writers at Disney, where this idiot puts this stupid gag in this movie and then has to change everything and make it just mundane and crappy and garbage. It's just terrible. This is another illustration of how stupid Disney is and how their writing is garbage. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like, subscribe. It always helps the channel. Feel free to check out anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a really good day.